Hello riders, welcome to Cycle Training with Trinity. My name's Trinity and today we have a 60-minute pyramid interval workout. So go ahead, get saddled on your bike and let's get started. Okay, we're just gonna start per usual, taking the first 5 minutes on the bike to warm ourselves up, get our bodies moving, getting ready for our workout. I'm fresh off of a 9 to 5 work day, so I'm absolutely going to be making the most of this time, getting my body ready to do some work. But while we're here, I will very excitedly tell you about our workout this evening. Tonight we have some pyramid intervals, and I'll show you our workout breakdown here. Not actually sure how it's going to look because we have so many intervals, and you can see it on the wall behind me as well. But we have several intervals today, and I promise it'll still only add up to 1 hour. But the reason that there are so many intervals is because of the pyramid setup that we have today. So we have 2 major pyramids that are going to take up pretty much the entirety of today's workout. Our first pyramid will be working from an easy zone to our hardest zone, zone 6. Then we'll come back down. We'll have a little bit of a tempo break in between the pyramids. And then our second pyramid, we're actually going to start high at a harder zone, work our way down to the easy zone, and then back up. So kind of an inverted pyramid format towards the end. It's going to be a decent amount of work, but I've done this a few times live in the classes that I host, and we do end up sweating tons towards the end, so I promise you'll get your work in. But that's really all that it is. The main difference with the 2 pyramids, outside of being inverted from one another, is that pyramid 1 will have breaks in between. So in between each rung of the ladder, each step of the pyramid, however you want to call it, we'll take a 1-minute break in between just to recover. At the start and end of that pyramid, it may seem kind of unnecessary, but the major practice with that, aside from kind of resetting ourselves before the next step, is to go from kind of ground zero up to a specific zone and start training how to find our zones, how to get back to zones quickly, instead of just relying on adding a gear at a time. So we'll practice some of that as we warm up and do our ramp up today, but just to prepare you for that, so that will kind of extend our first pyramid and make it longer by overall time. But the good news is we do get breaks there. With our second pyramid, we're just taking it all the way through. We're starting hard, getting easier, which kind of feels like a recovery, and then working our way back up to the top, and that is how we'll end it tonight. Or today, or whenever you're watching this video. I say tonight because again, it's after my work day. I can see the sun setting and leaving streams of sunlight on the floor next to me. So I'm going to try to keep it unbiased, if at all possible. But for now, again, as you're just warming your body up, your legs should be moving freely. No set speed here at the start. We'll start working in speeds in just about a minute, as well as some set efforts. But right now, should feel super easy. Like a 1, maybe a 2 out of 10, barely any support underneath your legs. Again, all that we're looking for is that warm up. And because I'm working out inside, not biking outside or in a super air conditioned room or anything, I'm starting to feel my body heat up, starting to feel my legs realize that we're gonna do some work today. In about 45 seconds, we'll reach our ramp up stage, and we're only gonna have 5 minutes there. The main purpose of that is to start getting a little bit of resistance on our legs, just a slight amount of work to get our bodies in the working zone. I will start finding our speed for the first part of this pyramid, and I'll talk more about speeds in a bit. But we're going to be varying our speeds throughout today's workout to keep things interesting. And then also leaving a minute or two just to practice some climbs as well, just to get out of the saddle for a bit. But about 5 seconds, not a hard and fast change coming up here. But as you're ready, find 80 RPM. That's where we're going to start off. I actually need to add a little bit of gears to slow my legs down to get to that slower pace. And we are looking for zone 2 here. So looking for a little bit of support underneath your feet, starting to feel the pedals under your legs. But once you're here, feels like a 3 or a 4 out of 10, still in an easy zone. But already I can feel my body starting to build a bit more heat here. Some of that work coming in through the pedals. We'll be here for 2 minutes. Then I'll cue us for some practice climbs that we'll just take nice and easy. Nothing too serious just yet. And once these 5 minutes are done, we are getting into that first pyramid. Like you saw at the very beginning, we actually start at zone 1. So basically going back to the easiest pedaling we could possibly do. But that's just starting to fall in line with our pyramid structure, letting us start truly from ground zero, what have you. About 40 more seconds here. Just starting to figure out your gears. I know one of the big things for me, a lot of times when I watch spin videos, it's because I'm not at home, I can't take a class, so I'm traveling somewhere, or just somewhere with a new setup and a new bike. And because of that, I don't know what gears the bike needs, I don't know how the information is displayed. And so a lot of my warm-up is just getting used to the settings there. So this is a great time for that, especially as we get climbing as well in just a few seconds. So as you're ready, add the gears that you need. And then once you're ready to go, just go ahead, jump out of the saddle for a few seconds. Not a set period of time here. You could still be seated for all that I know. I'm not watching you at home or wherever you are, but just giving you the opportunity for a few seconds at a time. You can go 30 seconds, you can go the full minute, just to practice standing up out of the seat. I'll probably go for the next 10 seconds, take a quick sitting break, and then get back up. I want to reiterate, our work here is not meant to be hard. This is the warm-up, the ramp-up period. We are not doing full work just yet. I'm kind of resetting for just a second here, and then I'll get up one more time for one more minute of climbing. But starting to feel comfortable here. Because we're doing intervals tonight, we're doing all kinds of work. We're not going super fast. During our workout tonight, our fastest will be about 90 RPM. So certainly not the fastest we've ever gone. But we will be exchanging some power for speed this evening as we go, and then doing some climbs as well, or at least having opportunities for them. And as you notice, part of this process was me playing with my gears. Putting my bike on a trainer means that sometimes the gears like to act a bit funny. But we're closing in on the last 10 seconds of this kind of climbing phase here. I'll give you guys the last minute just to grab water, reset, whatever you need to do. I would love for you to keep this kind of work in zone 2 if you can, since we are starting back in zone 1 for our first pyramid. We're just finishing up, building some of that heat, letting your body get nice and warm. I feel like if I ran a finger over my nose, yep, it's already a little bit damp, and more sweat will be coming soon. But it feels counterintuitive that our first working effort's actually gonna be easier than our warm-up and our ramp-up period. That's where we're gonna start in about 10 seconds. I'm trying to keep an eye on the clock to start us some time. But for now, push through these last few seconds. Not very hard at all. Getting ready to take off some extra gear. And we started our first minute just in zone 1. So super light work just for this first minute. Then we'll add a gear, get up in zone 2, and that's where we start the work in our pyramid. So as I mentioned at the start, and as you saw with the workout overview, all of our steps up the ladder will be 2 minutes long. So that's where the real work starts to come in, are those slightly extended intervals and periods of time. And then in between those 2 minutes, at least for this first pyramid, we'll have 1 minute of recovery every single time. So that's consistency. That's something that you can look forward to after every 2 minutes. And a bonus is when we get up to zone 6, we'll just do 1 minute up there work-wise. All right, here is our first step up the pyramid. We are holding on to 80 RPM. So trying to make this speed consistent the whole way through. And for now, just getting back to that work that we did in our ramp up. Not difficult at all. 3 or 4 out of 10. We're starting 2 minutes here. These first few rounds are where you can start to get comfortable. And this is where paths may start to diverge as far as what you're gonna be focusing on for today's workout. If you're at home on a bike that you have fully kitted out, if you have a nice bike computer that is matched up to your FTP zones, you can just look right at that, know what zone you're in, and hold it super steady. You could be on a super basic spin bike or trainer that gives you no information at all, and that is also okay. You absolutely can do today's workout without any kind of feedback or metrics on your bike. Knowing the speed is always helpful, but thinking about 80 RPM on your bike, your legs are moving kind of slow, and you can also watch my legs and match them. I'm just below 80, but trying to stick around there. And then from there, once you have your pace, you just adjust your gear until you find that feeling. Again, zone 2 is a 3, 4 out of 10. And just holding that nice and smooth for the next 20 seconds. This first level, hopefully, should not feel that hard. We'll get there, but coming up in about 10 seconds, we'll have another 1 minute break, and then we'll get up to zone 3. So let's finish this up and take those gears off. Let your legs spin out, nice and easy. And as we get closer to our next step up the pyramid, zone 3, this is where that real mental work starts to come in, and why I intentionally built zone 1 recoveries in between every step of the pyramid, so we can work on finding our zones, honing it in. If you're a super experienced rider, this is about getting to your zones quickly and potentially without looking at your bike computer, if you can. But otherwise, if you're a beginner cyclist, you can also practice this. Again, as long as you're holding one consistent speed, all you need to do is adjust your gears up and down and find that new level of effort. So about 5 seconds left here. Pace is steady all the way through. Legs are slightly refreshed. And here we go. Adding that extra gear, that extra resistance onto your bike. Now we're at zone 3, the highest we've been so far. And this is where we get to that 5 out of 10 effort. Doesn't quite feel easy anymore, doesn't feel hard. I usually consider zone 3 right at a 5 out of 10. As far as the amount of time that you could spend here, zone 3 you could do for more than an hour. And in my spin classes, I like to call this our conversational pace. What I'm feeling now in my diaphragm and in my lungs, I'm able to have a conversation relatively easily. So I call this a conversational pace. You do feel your legs working here. I do this in a few of my videos and in class as well, but starting to feel that real quad engagement on your legs and focusing into that feeling here. This is absolutely where I start to sweat, especially biking indoors. And by sweat, I mean really sweat. If I stay here long enough, I'll be dripping pretty soon. But a little over 30 seconds left here. We do have 3 more zones to go up after this. So also using that as a sort of marker for where your effort's at. Hey, can I add 3 more gears, 3 more levels of effort? And our first time up this pyramid is absolutely a learning experience. So no judgment, no being hard on yourself if you're still learning. Getting pretty close. And we will take off some gear. 1 minute here, back to recovery. As we get up higher in this pyramid, we start to become more grateful for these 1 minute recovery periods. Next up will be zone 4. And somewhat obviously, this should feel more difficult than zone 3. Once we get there, we're looking for what I call comfortably hard. So you're like, okay, my body's working. I need to put some focus into the bike to keep my output consistent. But with zone 4, the kind of golden rule there is you could hold zone 4 for an entire hour if you needed to. It would be a hard hour, but you could do it. So as we get into our first kind of like real working zone, let's find that cadence. And you guessed it, we're adding our gear. Whew. All right. This is where holding your pace, holding those 80 RPM might start to feel a bit harder. And now I'm just absolutely sweating. And so as your body begins to work harder, a reminder to keep breathing as well. This is our slower pace of the night. However, yeah, your body still needs air to keep going. If you try to hold your breath while doing this exercise, it wouldn't go too well. So hopefully you're settling in, feeling like a 6 to a 7 out of 10, and holding this for just over a minute. This is the last zone that we're gonna hold that I'll cue seated. Once we get into our next 2 zones, zones 5 and 6, I'll do those standing. And if standing is not an option for you when the time comes, you can absolutely still do this seated. But giving you guys the option, because sitting down for a full hour can definitely be taxing. It's always nice to have the opportunity to stand up. I will have a trick for you guys though, to see if you have the right gear while you stand, or if you're generally putting out the right effort. But for now, finishing out these 20 seconds. Oh, it does feel like work here, but manageable. This zone should always feel manageable. And we get to take it off. 1 minute, just for you. Using this time to catch your breath, grabbing some water, bringing your heart rate down, because these zones are where your heart rate really starts to climb. So each time, as you're working harder, adding more resistance, your heart rate starts to climb with you. And so seeing in those rest periods, okay, how quickly Can I bring my heart rate down? As we're getting closer to the top of this minute, a reminder that this next segment, I'll be standing. But the first few seconds I'm gonna take actually to sit. If you know FTP, if you know what your standing effort feels like, be my guest. But just gonna go through a quick tip with you guys, especially if you're beginners. But let's go ahead, stand if you're ready. But otherwise, the trick I have for y'all is go ahead and find that zone 5 effort, that kind of 8 out of 10 while you're seated. And if you have a power meter on your bike, look at the power that you're currently putting out. Whatever that number says, that's gonna be your same number while standing up. So I've gotten my number, gonna add a few extra gears, and here we go. Now that I'm standing, I'm looking for that same exact power as when I was seated, and I'm holding it here. One note that I'll add, when you're standing, speed does not matter anymore. I do not expect you to hold 80 RPM out of the saddle, let alone 90. So that's why I use power as our great equalizer for this interval. Because power ultimately is the combination of speed and resistance. And so however you switch up those two pieces, as long as they add up to the same power, that'll tell you that you're in the right zone. Whew. Come on, 30 seconds left here. This is our last 2-minute segment going up the ladder. When we get into zone 6, it'll just be 1 minute, and then we get to come on back down. For now, keep going, thinking about 1 foot at a time. Finding some air. And we'll take a seat. 1 minute for you. Whew. Bring down that heart rate. Let your legs spin out for a minute. Whew. I don't know if you can see it, guys. I'm dripping sweat. Maybe I should have laid down a mat or something. I don't have one of those just yet, but could be a good investment moving forward. For zone 6, same exact thing. I'm gonna cue you to stand. And now that you know what your zone 5 watts were, all I'm looking for is an extra gear, extra level of effort above those watts. So when the time comes around, I'm just gonna get up and stand, finding those new watts and getting after it. So let's do it. Gears on, resistance added, and here we go. 1 full minute up at the top. If you want to visualize yourself on a nice long climb, heading up to somewhere pretty, you can absolutely do that. I live in Seattle, so we have a lot of great climbs nearby. I've been down to the Mount Rainier area, done some climbs out there. Went up to Mount Baker a little while ago in the fall. That was gorgeous. And so usually I just erase what's in front of me if I'm at home and picture climbing up one of those. Makes it feel a lot more worth it. Just a few more seconds here, then you get your minute rest back, and we will take a seat. Nice. Excellent job, guys. Hopefully you all had a good view at the top, and now you get a little bit of extra rest in between our efforts. By extra, I just mean the normal minute that we've been getting. And from here, we are working our way back down the climb. One other thing I'll add here, As we go back up this pyramid, we're gonna make it a bit more interesting, change up our pace just a bit. So instead of 80 RPM, we're now looking for 90. But if you are climbing with me this round, because we're back at zone 5, you'll just be climbing again. But otherwise, looking for those same zone 5 watts at 90 RPM. Let's go ahead, time's already here. Getting up out of the saddle, getting into a 2-minute climb. Hitting those same watts as before, because we kind of marked out our zone 5 watts on our way up. On our way back down, for better or for worse, that number stays the same. But I will make a note here, if this is your first time on the bike, or early time on the bike, or you just have a bike that doesn't have a ton of information built into it. I mentioned this at the start, but bike riding in general is just a long learning process. There's both the learning that you'll do in this hour today, about your bike, about yourself, and there's a learning that you'll do over years. When I started biking, every bike ride I did was something new, something different. But between when I started to now, oh gosh, worlds of change in the years that have gone by. So don't be afraid to let yourself learn. If you started out in a space where you're like, yeah, these are my zones, and now we're halfway through our first pyramid, and you're like, these are not my zones, totally fine. Make the adjustments, learn, come back to this video next time with more information. And regardless, you got on the bike today. You are doing this workout. And so that is something to be applauded. Whew. Just a few more seconds here. Another break coming up. Whew. Keep breathing. And take a seat. All right. Again, heart rate coming down, legs spinning out. It is nice to have your legs refresh as much as possible, but always, always, my focus is on that recovery heart rate. It's actually a metric. If you have something like a Garmin or another smartwatch or a heart rate monitor, after your workout, you can monitor your recovery heart rate, which is okay from the peak or wherever you ended the workout. Within the first minute or 2 minutes, how far down can you get your heart rate? And the bigger the delta is, the bigger the gap, the more that your body's recovering between those efforts. That being said, already at our zone 4 work, we are truly back at 90 RPM now. So if you haven't had the opportunity to find that speed just yet, get there first, and then add the gears that you need. And if you're saying, Trinity, I'm totally lost, I don't know where I'm supposed to be, that's okay. We're generally looking for 6 or a 7 out of 10 as far as effort. If you do have a power meter, and if you've been using it for zone 5, we're looking for 10, maybe 20 watts under your zone 5 watts. That is truly an approximation, depending on your experience and your size and whatever else, that number can vary. We're just looking for somewhere under the zone 5 watts, of course, and otherwise hoping that this level of effort generally feels easier. Already I can feel my talking becoming more relaxed, more normal. I still have to take deeper intentional breaths here. But as long as I keep breathing, I could totally be here for a full hour. That is the goal for zone 4. Keep pedaling. The nice part about this first pyramid is even though it takes longer, the reason it takes longer is because we have these 1-minute breaks built in, which is pretty nice, if I do say so myself. So looking forward to that in about 10 seconds. Nice job. Take it off. A minute here. And we just have 2 more working zones. And I say that in quotations because they will still get easier. Our last working zone is zone 2. And we did that for our warm-up, our ramp-up today. So our final bit of work should not feel too hard. We're going down to zone 3 here. I'll have us focus just a bit more on our speed. I probably neglected it with our way down the pyramid. But seeing as our efforts generally get more manageable and our heart rate and our breathing rate also becomes more manageable, if we can shift a little bit of that focus over to our speed so we can just get some nice work at 90 RPM. But all right, starting now, legs are coming up to 90 and getting up to that 5 out of 10. Nice. Since we've now gone all the way up the ladder, and we've also had about 30 minutes, we're getting close to it, 30 minutes or so of work in our bodies now, you might feel like, hey, zone 3 isn't that bad, especially compared to zone 6. Both of that's your physical body actually waking up. Because when we started climbing the ladder, your body's like, whoa, all right, I guess we're working out today, but it doesn't feel great. And so now your body's had the opportunity to actually come alive a little bit. And the other part of it is just like the mental battle going on, where again, comparatively, zone 3 is way easier than zone 6. So if you'd like to let that encourage you, you absolutely can. Under a minute left here. I'm feeling like we're starting to get the hang of things. Breathing should definitely be way more manageable here. Potentially just able to breathe through your nose and out your nose, that kind of level of easy. But if you're breathing through your mouth like I am, also okay. Whew. My bike computer is drenched with little droplets of my sweat. I told you guys we'd be working, and we absolutely are. Just a few seconds left here, then we'll be back in recovery. Nice. Take off some gears. 1 minute here for you. Next bit of work, last bit of work for this pyramid will be in zone 2. All it is 1 step up from where we are now. Definitely does not feel like hard work by any means. Just getting that practice, some sustained time in that endurance zone. And also making our pyramid nice and symmetrical, because who doesn't like a bit of symmetry? But also anywhere in these lower zones is a great time to drink water. If you've been able to fit it in our 1 minute breaks, great. If you have not had the time yet, this zone 2 set also works really well. Your body's not working too hard. And we've started. 2 minutes here, 90 RPM. Just maybe 1 or 2 gears up, depending on what bike you're on. And while we're here, feeling like, hey, almost no effort at all, thinking about our form just a little bit. So your body should be still nice and centered over the bike. If you lost it a little bit during our higher zones, that is okay. But see if you can bring a little bit of focus back, keeping the center line of your head. I have a very clean part in my hair, so kind of trying to picture that part centered right over my front tire on my bike, or just in general, the center of my bike. Upper body's nice and relaxed. If you got any tense shoulders during the first part of our pyramid, taking those down, giving them a quick shake out. Took me a while to learn that, honestly. People kept telling me, Trini, just like relax your upper body. And I was like, I am relaxing it. So it may take a second or two. If you also want to think about pulling the top of your head away from your tailbone, that can also help to elongate the spine. It's a bit dramatic as far as visuals go. But in about 10 seconds, we're going to be starting something new. This is our tempo practice, and we're just going to ease into it. We are staying at 90 RPM, so holding on to this pace, and then adding one more gear. That's it, because we were in zone 2, now we're in zone 3, and just breaking up our pyramids, and also getting ourselves to the full hour. But this really lets us get every single kind of practice that we could possibly get from a workout. We have our climbing strength, which are those higher zones, getting up out of the saddle. And even if you're sitting, that's still building those climbing muscles. We're getting a little bit of the speed work in. I felt myself become short of breath, and my heart was working nice and hard, so a lot of that cardio work in there. And then holding the sustained time at tempo pace. A lot of times tempo tends to be what cyclists will look for their longer rides. If you go higher than zone 3, inching up to zone 4, because I mentioned zone 4, you could hold that for an hour, and that would be a hard hour, but then you're done. A lot of cyclists, especially outside, will bike for more than an hour, but then if you're doing recovery or endurance paces, you're not really putting in the work, you're not pushing your body to get stronger. So this tempo pace is great for longer endurance and building up your stamina on the bike without absolutely tiring yourself out. If you've ever come across one of my sweet spot interval videos, then you'll know what I'm talking about. You know what we practice for an entire hour plus during those videos. And so just working it in for a mere 5 minutes during today's workout kind of gives us this well-rounded view. And this is a mixed style video. You probably clicked on this thinking or knowing, hey, this video is focused on intervals, not climb focused, not VO2 max, not necessarily endurance. Kind of a mix of all the above. So this is part of that. It also does give me time to talk to you about our second pyramid. And the great news with the second pyramid, and kind of covering up the fact that we don't get breaks in this one, is the fact that it's just going to go. We are going to start at zone 5, so kind of an upper level start, high effort at the very beginning. It'll also be high effort at the end. But once we start at the top, we just keep working down the pyramid. We should feel relatively recovered by the time we get back to zone 2, and then we work our way up and we're done. The last thing I'll mention about this pyramid, because I changed up the speeds on us with pyramid 1, this pyramid is rider's choice. My recommendation for a lot of times for rider's choice is anywhere between 80 to 90 RPM, give or take 5 or so. But usually those are the prime balances between speed and strength. If you really want to work on strength today, that'll be a slower speed, so 80 RPM or below. Because you have less speed, you'll use more resistance, and vice versa. If you're really looking for some cardio work today, faster speeds means lower resistance. I always get to this point in my ride where my brain stops working with like actual facts, because my brain starts to go bike, bike, bike. Just a little bit of practice, reining it in. Under a minute left here with our tempo work. It's gone by super quickly. Because we did that practice with our power, specifically zone 5 power, at the start of this workout with our first pyramid, we know that number, we know what we want to get back to. So at the top of this minute, we're just gonna find those watts. Again, regardless if you're sitting, standing, whatever. And we're gonna hit it. Make that transition as smooth as possible. Get to that zone. But again, if you make any changes, adjustments, you're still figuring out zone 5, totally fine. 10 seconds left here. I'm gonna stand with zone 5 in 3, 2, 1. Adding gears, and we're off. Whew, added too much gear. Still want my legs to go around in a circle, but it should be feeling hard. Looking down, seeing that power creep up, or even spike at the top. At that number you wanna hold. And we're here for 2 minutes. Oh, and my legs can feel it. Pushing down through the pedals, 1 foot at a time. I talked a little bit about form while we were seated, but while we're climbing, similar concepts apply. Your hands should be using the handlebars just for balance. No death grip going on there. And your upper body is nice and angled. And you are using your core to stay engaged. Otherwise, your legs are doing all the work. Hamstrings and glutes. The back sides of your legs are the ones pushing those pedals down, building some of that strength here. And my hamstrings and glutes are nice and tired. But we're gonna keep pushing through for the next 30 seconds or so. And as a reminder, next effort goes right into zone 4. So if you need a reminder, look down at your power right now. Think about 20, 30 watts underneath that. That's probably what you're looking for zone 4. And 3, 2, 1. Take a seat, back off some gear. It may take a second for your legs to come up to speed. I'm probably just gonna go for 85 RPM, but it is rider's choice. That was tough, I gotta tell you. And zone 4 does not feel easy, but it's definitely easier than what we were just doing. Make sure you aren't cheating yourself out of any work. Take a look at your wattage, or if you don't have watts at all, also fine. Really try to dig in and say, am I at a 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10, somewhere in there. And all the while doing your best to hold onto that cadence. It's hard, I know. There's like 5 things to juggle all at the same time. But that is some of the beauty about biking, especially indoor biking. When you're outside, a lot of times, you're just biking to get someplace. You're like, I don't know how fast I'm going. I don't know how many RPMs I'm putting out. Heck, I have no idea how many watts I'm pushing right now. So the beauty of being indoors on a trainer is being able to say, okay, here are my watts, or just mentally reflecting, here's how much power I'm doing, or here's what I feel like I'm doing. Sometimes the art of no distraction can come to your benefit. But sometimes a little distraction is okay. Sometimes, especially on zone 2 days, I'll just prop up a movie. And speaking of distractions, we're taking off a gear. That was already 2 minutes. We're still holding our pace, but down to zone 3. Yay, it's gotten even easier. After this, one more step down the ladder to zone 2. That should almost feel like recovery by the time we get there. Then we'll climb our way back up and be done with it. How about that? But hopefully at this point, you guys are starting to feel like you're getting the hang of these efforts, knowing what zone 3 feels like, especially once you've chosen your pace, just adding, taking off the gear until you get to where you need to be. All right, okay, getting down into zone 2. Legs should feel nice and easy. Basically feels like a full recovery here. Two full minutes. I might just give you guys some time to yourselves to kind of soak in the bottom of this pyramid, and then we'll get ready to go back up, but that's not until later. Feeling pretty much fully reset. Now with less than a minute, thinking about how you want to take on the last bit of this pyramid, working our way back up. My hope is that a decent portion of your adjustments are done, that as we get up to zones 3, 4, and 5, you're like, all right, I got this. I know where to be. But if you're still making minor changes, that's totally fine. The one kind of challenge I have for you is to not just make it easier because you're tired. Being tired is part of the process. But if you need to make it easier because you're like, wow, I just totally misunderstood the message, that's fine too. But for now, we've added a gear, getting back to zone 3 work. Not feeling our overall effort increase too much, especially from where we just were. Going from a 3 or 4 out of 10 to a 5. That jump should not be huge, but as we continue to bike, You're saying, okay, feeling some of that work come back in. Still conversational as always. And just feel like what we just did 2.5 minutes ago. It's not changing anything too much, but just slowly ramping back up, because we'll have 2 more steps to go as we get back up the ladder. First minute here, almost done. I've started getting distracted by all the sweat that I've been pouring out. And I know for a fact I haven't been drinking enough water to match my perspiration rate. I do think there's a vitamin water waiting for me in the fridge after this ride. I'm starting to get more and more excited for it. But hopefully wherever you are, you have some sort of water bottle near you. You've been able to drink a bit of water. And maybe you have some electrolytes to look forward to after. That'd be great. 15 seconds left here. Then we'll change our gears. Here we go. Nice and doable. No stresses here. Just creeping up that effort. Making sure your cadence is still in the same spot. I keep trying to remind you, because I know that if I lose focus on my cadence, it'll slowly just dip slower and slower. So every so often, trying to take a quick look, making sure I'm keeping pace. And one last time here before we climb, just reminding you of your form, seated on the bike, full rotations with your legs. If you're going faster, kind of feels like quick, small rotations with your feet around the pedals. But if you're going slower, kind of feels like these just full circular motions all the way, scooping around the bike. And if that didn't make any sense to you, that's all right. Hopefully it's made sense to somebody. But I just know that when I go faster on the bike, even though I'm still looking for full rotations, just as much as when I'm going slower, sometimes a change in mentality or my goal can make a difference. I can definitely feel my heart rate working its way up here. But just 20 seconds left right here. We have 2 minutes of work following, then we'll be done. So whatever you need to tell yourself to get through this ride just as strong as when you started, make that work towards your benefit. Let's go ahead, adding gears. I am climbing for these last 2 minutes. Power's getting up there. Holding these higher, heavier watts. But again, if you're standing, pace does not matter. It's just all about getting your leg through those pedals, down towards the floor, and then back up towards your chest. In my mind, I'm back on Mount Baker. It was like mid-October when I went out. And it's this nice, long, not too steep, but long and steady climb that kind of takes forever. But along the way, we just saw all of these, what are they? They're these white trees with golden leaves on them. I want to call them birch trees, but again, my brain is not working right now. But that's the view that I think about whenever I have a long climb and nothing else to look at. Something that pushed me through the end. If you have some other music going on in the background, or some other thing you're picturing. Amazing. But whatever you're doing, whatever your method is, less than 30 seconds to go. You got this. Still breathing. That is my hope for you. Nobody's turning purple out there. 10 more seconds. In 3, 2, 1, we take a seat and we are done. Letting your heart rate come back down here. Slowly feeling yourself cool off, regaining your breathing. That was definitely a note to go out on, that last climb to the top. I know my body's tired. But giving ourselves a few minutes here just to bring our heart rate down. I talked about that recovery heart rate earlier. That's a big goal of ours, especially as we eventually probably want to stretch and finish up here on the bike. You are free spinning here now. Whatever gear feels good to you. You might want a little bit of support. You might say, Trinity, take it all off. All of the above are fine. The only ask I will have of you is to remain on the bike with your feet moving for some period of time as we get done with this workout. Just because if you suddenly hop off the bike and then start walking around or even sit down, your body is going to not feel quite as good as if we're given the opportunity to cool down. Part of the cool down that we won't do together today, but if you have time for it, I always highly recommend are some stretches. Your legs worked incredibly hard today. A lot of your muscles in your body did some taxing work and they will get stronger, but the risk of them as well is also getting tighter. So the more stretching you can do, the better in my book. And so if you have a yoga mat at home or even just next to the bike, do a quad stretch, calf stretch, something like that. That is always great for your body, and I'm sure your body will be thanking you for it. And otherwise, just getting in lots and lots of water. I mostly notice this after my in-person spin classes, but it'll probably be the case today too. My body gets dehydrated, and it tells me as much after the rides that I do. So kind of trying to take in as much water as you can, especially before you go to sleep tonight. That's always helpful. But otherwise, if you were planning on sticking around doing more than 1 hour of training today, you can absolutely switch to the next video that you have queued. I will not stop you, especially if you're gonna keep your body moving. Now is a totally fine time to do that. But otherwise, I'm just gonna hang out on the bike for another 2 minutes or so. Eventually, I'll start sitting up like I'm doing now. Now that some of my sweat has stopped producing itself and dripping off my face, I think I'm gonna have to get the Swiffer Sweeper out after today. And don't be surprised if in a future video I've got a mat underneath me. I think that'll make my life a lot easier. But taking some time, if you have it, just to sit up and breathe. Again, keeping your legs going. A little under a minute and a half left. Another thing that I will sometimes do after bike rides is I'll combine certain training skills that I'm working on. So sometimes I get off the bike, I go for a quick run or just get on the treadmill. No amount of stretching can hurt you, but if you're saying, Trinity, I want to get on to the next thing and it's another workout, that is also okay to move on. At the end of the day, you know your body best. I'm not gonna tell you what to do with it, but just giving tips that I've learned. I've already noticed in the past few years my body's gotten much lower tolerance for not stretching or for becoming stiff after harder workouts. And you guys deserve it after today. This was a tough workout. And you made it all the way through 2 relatively steep pyramids, if that's what you want to call them. And you did awesome work. I'll probably give you guys the last 10 seconds or so here, just to yourselves. But it was great getting to ride with you today. And you did great work. Hope to see you again soon. And that's it. Thank you guys so much for riding with me today. If you liked today's video, feel free to give it a thumbs up and save it to a collection for next time. If you want to see more of these, subscribe and get alerted to new videos. And if there are any workouts that you'd like to see, comment them down below. I hope you guys had a fantastic ride, and I will see you next time.